What's going on with y'all? It's Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Ball Sports Network. Continue to hit the thumbs up button, like and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Now today we are going to talk about the new CBA that is being proposed that would bring a 17-game schedule and 7 teams in the playoffs in the NFL, right? And so I have a huge problem with this. The number one issue that I have with this is the NFL over the last 5 or so years has just been pushing this narrative of player safety. They have adjusted the rules. They have gotten rid of outdated equipment, put new safety standards on every piece of equipment. They have adopted all of these new policies to continue to keep the player safe. Great, right? Like, that is beautiful. That is what a lot of people have been calling for 50 years, but over the last 5, they've adopted those. Good job. Clap it up for Roger Goodell and the guys in the NFL. But now you do something like this, right? It's like, like coming through the back door. Because now a 17-game schedule and adding an extra team in the playoffs eliminates everything that you've been working towards up until this point, right? Like, you talk about how safe you want to keep the players, but it's like, I'm going to keep you safe unless it can make me some more money. The only purpose of having a 17-game schedule is money. It's revenue, right? You have an extra game. You can charge TV providers more. You can charge ESPN, CBS, Fox more because they have more games to offer. You add another playoff team. You expand the wild card weekend. It's all about money. Money, money, money. That's greed, guys. Like, that's what's called greed. And for this greed, you're risking those players' health, livelihood, right? Like, they know what they signed up for. Don't get me wrong. Every NFL player knows what he is. He is signing up for a violent sport. It is a contact sport. But when you pushing this narrative of player safety, and we're trying to do everything possible to keep our players safe, but we're going to expand the schedule and expand the playoffs, for what purpose? The NFL structure, the way it's currently stands, is great. It's amazing. The product on the field is great. The only problem people, fans like myself have are with some of its policies and its punishment, right? Like, you punish a guy, suspend him or whatever for smoking weed, but domestic violence doesn't get the same. They don't weigh the same. Or a guy for taking a knee, to fight against injustices towards black people. But if I go beat up break my kid's arm, I can still play, and that's forgiven. So the punishment for certain players is what I have problem with as far as the NFL, but the actual play on the field, there's no problem. I mean, you can say, refs and too many penalties and too many, whatever. Okay, that's like nitpicky stuff. But the actual product on the field, how many weeks we have football, how many Sundays I get to watch, whatever, has never been a problem. But adding a 17 game, you totally eliminate this whole player safety narrative that you've been pushing. Richard Sherman actually talked about this during the season, and a lot of people kind of, shrugged him off. But now that the CBA is the proposal is actually in front of us, now, a lot of people ain't going back and saying, oh yeah, Richard, you were right, because he was right. And at the time I was like, yeah, he's right. He's one of the top people as far as the Players Association for the NFL, the NFLPA. He's like heavily involved. And so he said this was coming. And here it is. It's right in our face. And it's sad because they're probably going to adopt it. And when more and more players get hurt, they're going to act like we don't know what's the problem. Oh, it's a contact sport. Oh, they signed up for this. Oh, this is what football's all about. But you could have prevented some of this, right? And so if you're going to do this, because I think it's going to happen, right? Like, once these billionaires get their minds made up, like, it's going to happen. It has to get accepted by the players, but it's going to happen. Now, so once this gets adopted, is the salary cap going to go up? Like, are the players going to get paid the same amount as they're getting now for 16 games, for 17 games? Like, you're just going to divvy their check up into 17s instead of 16? I think if you do this, which it will happen, I think you ought to eliminate the salary cap. The NFL and the NBA are the only 2 major sports in the world that have a salary cap, right? International soccer doesn't have a salary cap. Major League Baseball doesn't have a salary cap. Hockey, the NHL, doesn't have a salary cap. The NBA and the NFL does. Now, what do the NBA and the NFL have in common? they're predominantly ran by African Americans. But that's a whole different topic. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you guys think. I mean, it seems kind of interesting that the NBA and the NFL are the only two, major sports, worldwide sports, that have salary caps. But that's neither here nor there. So I think you should either eliminate the salary cap or it should skyrocket. I think salary cap elimination should be gone. There should be no salary cap in the NFL if this happens, right? Also, there needs to be fully guaranteed contracts. Well, I'm fully guaranteeing 17 weeks out of the season. I need my 90 million guaranteed, my 80 million or whatever I signed for. I don't need to sign for 100 million and only get 40 guaranteed. Those days should be out of the window. And if the players agree to the 17-week extra 17 playoff, like those stipulations need to be in their part of the contract. Because if they're not, they're cheating themselves. I mean, think about it. We're going to have 14 teams in the playoffs. There's only 30 teams in the NFL. Almost half the league will be in the playoffs. So that means almost half the league will still be playing and still be subject to injury. So we're talking about 18 games, essentially, for nearly 50% of the league. 18 games. Not 17, it's 18 because you got the 17 regular season games, your 4 preseason games, and now an extra game in the playoffs for everybody except the 1 seed. So yeah, you're guaranteed at least 18 games for every team. So I need fully guaranteed contracts and elimination of salary cap, or I'm not signing the deal. I wouldn't sign the deal because it's coming. But and also, and the last point that they should do is they need better health care. They should have better health care for retired players because there's going to be more sustainable long-term injuries with all of these games. We're talking about 18 games for half the league now. There are going to be long-term ramifications for that. There's only so much equipment can do. There's only so much a new helmet, new shoulder pads, all that stuff can do to prevent injuries. And we're going to see an increased rise 30 years from now in CTE, even with the better equipment, because there's more games. There's more contacts. There's more collisions. So, I don't know, man. The safety, that stuff is a joke. The NFL has really been pressing this safety issue, but all of that stuff has now went out the window now that they're proposing this essentially 18-game schedule for half the league. I don't know. You guys let me know. What do you think? What do you think about the NFL's new proposal for 17-game regular seasons and 17 or 14 teams getting in the playoffs? Once again, my name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Ball Sports Network. Leave a like, leave a comment on what you think about this new format, and we will see you next time.